The Free Agents podcast contains mature themes and adult language. Any discussion of gambling is for entertainment purposes only. Please abide by all laws in your location regarding gambling.
This should be our intro. Can we start?
This week on The Free Agents.
Butt naked, ill, turn, dust, PCP, Primos, Ego. That's what you had? Jesus.
Welcome to the Free Agent Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Smarge. Joining us this week via Skype. LJ, how are you this week?
I am good. I can't complain. Been reading about Aaron Hernandez in Rolling Stone.
Oh man, I'm so glad we put off the show till today because all this news broke yesterday while I was sitting around here. This story in Rolling Stone broke yesterday. And basically there's all kinds of details and things that it alludes to. Some of it more fact and some of it more sort of facts, sort of woven together.
It's hearsay. The whole article.
There's a lot of hearsay to it.
It's he said, she said, this happened, that happened. It goes into the history of his family and how messed up his mother was, and how messed up he got after his father died, and it kind of falls, that he basically went off the rails when he turned 16 and his father died. He just went into gangster mode and he never came out of it. He went to Florida and was in gangster mode. He went to the Patriots and was in gangster mode, and and Smarge, he was sniffing PCP.
Well, that's
and smoking mad blunts.
Yeah, I think we all could have imagined him smoking mad blunts. PCP is something that I think takes a lot of people by surprise. But the fact is, and what I've been reading recently is that PCP is sort of reemerging as a recreational drug in some of these cities and some places throughout the U.S. People are doing angel dust, which is really just crazy to me because I can't imagine doing something like that and getting all crazy and like fighting the UMass football team or something like that. I can't even grasp it.
You're not of the mental makeup of a sociopath like Aaron Hernandez. So when you mix in the PCP, which makes you paranoid and violent and all that other great stuff, it amplifies the sociopath that is Aaron Hernandez, and it looks like he was running around shooting people that pissed him off. I mean, I guess he shot some dude in the face that's suing him. And so the guy said, the guy messed up, and so they're going to a strip club in Miami. That's what the article says. And he ends up shooting this dude in the face and dumping his body. The dude doesn't die. Doesn't tell the cops it was Aaron Hernandez, but witnesses say it was a big, tall, tattooed, either Mexican or Samoan-looking guy. And this guy ends up suing Aaron Hernandez for shooting him in the face. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This guy he's out of control.
Yeah.
He's sucking up all the oxygen because now this story comes out at the beginning of the football season. And what are we talking about? We're talking about Aaron Hernandez. He's sucking up all the oxygen in the room again.
It's true. I mean, we hadn't really covered a lot of it, and since the story broke, we haven't really talked about it every week, and there's definitely been stuff coming out. But this is just, a lot of this is hearsay. But there are definitely some facts in here that you can look at that I find really interesting and make me to wonder what's really going on, and sort of things like who knew, who in Patriots organization knew what, when, and that kind of stuff. The good news is
that's all nonsense. There ain't no facts in there about any of that. You know what? The Patriots aren't to blame for this one. This doesn't fall on the Patriots. They took a flyer on them in the later rounds. They told him to get his shit together. He didn't get his shit together. The teammates said he didn't talk to anybody. He couldn't be bothered to do anything with the team. And all this stuff came out. But, I mean, I don't want to get into speculation about who knew what and when and all that other nonsense, because I don't care. I'm not looking to punish anybody on the Patriots for this. They cut the ties with this knucklehead and move on. I mean, the Patriots are going to have enough problems finding people to throw to this year.
Well, that is true. They definitely have football to worry about. But there are pending lawsuits in all of this, civil suits, and a lot of the real facts will come out in court because people will be forced to testify under oath. Even if, Bill Belichick doesn't necessarily take the stand, there will be depositions and other legally binding affidavits.
Who do you think is going to be called from the Patriots for this?
Well, I think people want to know. I mean, look.
But no, this has nothing to do with the Patriots. There shouldn't be any Patriots in court as a witness to this. This didn't happen anywhere with anything to do with the Patriots. This isn't like the Kansas City Chiefs player that shot his girlfriend and then went to the facility and killed himself looking for help. Aaron Hernandez reached out before when he was spiraling, but after this stuff happened, he didn't go to Bill Belichick or anybody in the Patriots and say, "Oh my God, I've been shooting people, help me." So, I mean, I don't think any Patriots should be anywhere involved in this at all.
Well, you may be right in the end, LJ, but the lawyers are going to ask these questions. You can't. I mean, that's their job. That's what's going to happen when this stuff goes to court.
The prosecutors aren't going to start dragging Patriots into this, which is just going to cause speculation, and it's more hearsay. The prosecutors are going to be looking to nail this case down and show that Aaron Hernandez had the gun in his hand in the pictures, in the video that he didn't destroy. All the texts that were sent out, the only saving grace, like the guy said in the article, is that they can blame it on the other guy. Him and the other dude, Wallace, are together now, and Ortiz is the guy testifying, and they're gonna just pin this on Ortiz and be like, "Yo, that's the dude that shot him, man. I was just, I just wanted to rough him up. He was talking shit about me, but I wasn't that mad at him. I didn't want him dead or nothing." And Aaron Hernandez, from all reports, is a charming individual when he talks to people. So I'm sure he's going to be sitting up on the stand in a not so flashy suit. He's probably going to look like in a Brooks Brothers. They're probably going to put him into, and they're going to make him look the least thuggish he can. And he's going to go up there and testify and look somber and be apologetic, and probably walk away from all of this.
Well, LJ, do you think Bob Kraft wants? I mean, do you think the Krafts want to know what Belichick and other people knew at various times?
Oh, again, that's who cares? That's not this is not a who knew what. This is not a cover up by the Patriots. Patriots did not cover anything up. I don't know who thinks. No,
but as far as football operations goes, if you're the owner of a team and your coach and your GM is basically insulating you from all of these things that are huge, could be huge press issues as far as your brand and the publicity of your billion-dollar industry. Do you want to know these things or not if you're an owner?
No, Bob Kraft is not going to question Bill Belichick on this. This is not Bill Belichick's fault. There's nothing there that Belichick can take the blame for. There's not. Bob Kraft's not going to go to him and be like, "Well, what did you do? You shouldn't have drafted this kid." No, because I'm sure he signed off on Hernandez, and I'm sure Bob Kraft went into it with his eyes open. Bob Kraft is no dummy. Bob Kraft wanted to win, so he said, "Sign this kid," and when they went to re-sign him, come on now, Bob Kraft didn't sign. Bob Kraft had to sign off on that deal, that extension with the $12.5 million. And he wasn't manipulated by anything Belichick did or anybody else did. Bob Kraft knew what was going on and signed off on it. And he took a gamble and it didn't pay off. It cost some money. He's a rich guy. He can handle it.
Well, it'll remain to be seen, LJ. This isn't going to go away. I think we can definitely agree on that. Like this is going to continue to eat up the oxygen in the room. It's going to continue to rear its ugly head as things proceed, I think. But
well, the oxygen in the room today is all about the NFL settlement with the players who were suing because of concussions.
Yeah, the Aaron Hernandez story has definitely been a conveniently timed thing in the wake of this announcement that the class of players that are suing the NFL for concussion-related injuries and stuff during their careers they've agreed to settlement in all of this.
Yep.
A pretty massive settlement too. It's quite large. It's a whole bunch of money.
$765 million, and I think it's like 3,000 players or 7,000 players that were suing or something. And no player can get more than $5 million from the money. as an individual settlement. So, I mean, yes, the guys that are getting it are going to be able to take care of themselves if they've needed money that's going to be there for them. But the NFL didn't have to admit culpability that football caused the problem, but by paying the money, they're saying that football caused the problem.
Okay, and just to get this correct, it's actually the class of players that are included in the suit are the entire 18,000 retired players, within whatever the dates that they set as the class of people who are eligible. So it's actually it's quite a few people. But yeah, it works out to a maximum of $5 million for people who have related syndromes, and then some. It looks like it goes down for certain conditions and stuff. So that's a big story. I mean, that's a big thing for the NFL to get off its back.
You also have to wonder now they're going to continue to play a sport that has crippled a bunch of the people that played it over since the creation of the sport. So we're basically saying, all right, gladiators, get back in the ring, start beating on each other again, and well, there you go. And then I like the people now. They've changed a lot of the rules. You can't nail people when they go over the middle. You can't take more than a certain amount of steps when you go after the quarterback. And realistically now, we need the fake tough guys that like to complain that the sport's not real anymore. That it used to be a lot more badass. Well, there were a lot more people like Harry Carson that can't talk.
Yep.
And have headaches and everything else because they used to pound on themselves and beat on each other and everything else. And now the athletes are bigger, stronger, and faster, and we're asking them to still beat on each other like this? No. There has to be a balance now. I mean, the players understand the risk going in, but they don't get a lot of guaranteed contracts in the NFL either. It's like John McEnroe pointed out on the Oberman show the other night. The NFL union has some of the weakest contract negotiations. They don't get a lot of guaranteed money in the NFL. And these guys put the most on the line. I mean, baseball has a ton of guaranteed money, and these guys play, if you're at all any good at baseball, you can play 10, 15 years and cash in, 3 or 4 times over the life of your career. In football, you're lucky to play 5 years. And you're not going to get that much cash out of the deal, and you're going to put your body through hell. So, I mean, if you're a father, and you're weighing what sport to get your kid into, baseball, football, basketball, you're going to lean towards the sports that aren't violent and last a longevity.
Well, that's exactly it, LJ, and it's really hard for the NFL. Ideally, as far as the league is concerned, they'd love to have all of these players be all these outstanding, model citizens and family men and stuff. Well, what's the point if you're going to go and play, like you said, for 5 years and not have most of your ability to function afterwards? I mean, what is there to look forward to if how are you going to tell someone who's looking at that as their future, that they should settle down, have some kids and stuff, take it easy and not hang out with gangsters. So I'm happy for the players because as much as I would love to see this go forward, in court so that we could get hopefully more information about, some of the facts of this stuff out. The players really do need this money. They're facing incredible costs of healthcare and dealing with all this stuff. And so, I think at the end of the day, anyone who, and I've heard a few people on some various radio stations and stuff basically criticize the players for not taking this forward in court. And I think that's kind of disgusting if you would go on the air and do that, because these people are suffering and the money is very much a part of this for them to get some help. Get some care, and also the research to really continue to treat these things, but also minimize them and get them out of the game, stop these problems from happening to people.
And enough calling football players pussies when they get
I think that's ridiculous.
Don't go back in the game.
I mean, you go out there and play with the high school team. I don't care. Like I'm 5'4". I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about any football players. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I'm no athlete. Like, I can't do half of what the worst players in the NFL can do. So
they just endlessly talk shit.
It's ridiculous. And, these people are definitely sacrificing themselves in that way. And, not just at the pro level. I mean, this is where it gets tough when you get into, you're talking about high school, like your teenagers, but also college. That's the thing is these players, college players are getting nothing, basically, except
that's
a
Johnny,
subpar education.
That turns right to the Johnny Manziel story. He basically signed a bunch of stuff. I mean, there's no getting around that. And he wanted to make some money off of it, just like because he won the Heisman Trophy and he has a big name, and he wanted to cash in, just like Texas A&M is cashing in on his fame. He wanted to cash in on it. Well, the NCAA didn't like it, and other people didn't like it, and the people at Texas A&M were, well, we can't. If Johnny Manziel starts a game for us and then the NCAA hands down a punishment, we could lose our victories this year and ruin our whole season, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and it's going to cost us money. Well, you guys are making a ton of money off of these players. I mean, hell, the college football season kicks off tonight, and it's a national game on ESPN, and it's sponsored by Allstate Insurance. And where's that Allstate money going to? It's going to the NCAA, and it's going to the colleges and the coaches. It ain't going to
ESPN, yeah. Yeah.
And ESPN, exactly. The money that ESPN pays for that coverage is going to the colleges, and to the coaches,
paying
and
salaries of coaches, athletic directors, presidents, board members, all that stuff. The stadium.
And it's not going in the pockets of the players. And a lot of those players, and the trade-off, when the whole trade-off for the education thing is a joke. I've been harping on this too much, but I say this every week when we discuss the NCAA. It's a big joke, and they just proved it again by punishing Johnny Manziel. He gets to miss a half of a football game.
Well, they're punishing him in a fairly trivial manner. And I agree with it in terms of fairness, because I agree with you, LJ. These kids they're sacrificing way too much and getting too little return on their sacrifices to play these sports and stuff in college. So I agree, and it's just a tacit admission by the NCAA that they are basically hypocrites. That the things like this lawsuit that had been pending against them over the EA cover art and likeness rights to your own person, basically. All that stuff brings this to light, and I think that's why we do talk about it fairly consistently, because we want to cover college sports, and it's great stuff to watch as far as sports goes. But we can't just leave it be that that all this exploitation of America's youth is going on. And they're paying, and essentially they're still paying all this money to go to college. And what are they getting out of it? So
I don't know what they're getting. That's for sure. These guys, like I said, they get replaced quickly. There's another recruit ready to come up behind them and take their spot at any one of these big schools. They recruit 3 and 4 deep. So they don't care about these players. They don't care one iota about these players. I mean, hell, you read the article about Aaron Hernandez, and when Urban Meyer was trying to deal with him, he handed him a Bible and read some scriptures to him and told him to hang around with Tim Tebow. And that was going to solve the problem. If that's Urban Meyer's problem solving, then no wonder his programs are a mess.
Well, his problem solving was in keeping law enforcement off his back and all the stuff he did behind the scenes. He's a genius at that. He should be working for the mob, LJ.
At the University of Florida, they covered it up. He supposedly failed a bunch of drug tests because he was smoking pot every time. And, they didn't care because he was helping them win championships. And if you're helping them win championships, they're not going to care. They don't care one iota. Hell, I'm waiting for the big story about Nick Saban and the University of Alabama. I'm just waiting for something.
Yeah, we could have a pool, LJ. We should start a pool. Everyone gets a day. Like in the next year or whatever. And we could have we should have a whole recruiting violation college pool.
I don't, you know what, man?
We could get $5 squares, LJ, be great.
We'll call it the hypocrisy pool because they're friggin' hypocrites.
And the media isn't, big media is not covering this stuff, LJ. That's why I think it's fine to talk about it as much as we do.
Legitimately, what do you think it would take for Nick Saban and Tom Richt and the rest of the guys that run the SEC to basically say, all right, we're no longer going to be associated with colleges. We're going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're going to recruit the same way. We're going to get players the same way, but we're going to pay them. And we're going to basically create a minor leagues for the NFL. And basically you basically put a team in, where Stanford is, where UCLA is, where USC is, where Arizona is, where University of Washington is. You basically grab the top 50 programs in the country, and you create a minor league system. And
I think that's a great idea, LJ. My one question about it would be, at what point are the kids entering the minor league system? Can they come right out of high school and they just recruit them out of high school and go?
That's what it's set up for. It's set up for it's a high school feeder system. They have to play 3 years in the minor league system before they're eligible for the NFL. Before they're eligible to be called up to the NFL. And then you have the NFL affiliate themselves with different teams.
I think
just think of the bidding war to be affiliated with the Alabama team.
I think it's a great idea, LJ.
I mean, you could basically separate these programs from the schools. The schools would hate it because it would kill their fundraising. But it's not anything that's legitimate. I mean, you could take the boosters with you, make them board members for the teams. The boosters want to be involved anyway. Get them involved. They could be the ones that put down the initial cash to finance this whole thing. I mean, there's a ton of money in SEC football. And that funnels around their little black market.
Yeah, and they could just license all the intellectual property of the team, like the identity of the team from the college. So the college would still get money that they could put into scholarships and stuff, and then it wouldn't just be subverted away because they wouldn't really be running the athletic program. They would have to put it into real scholarships for academics.
And then they destroy the NCAA, and then they get their own negotiating body to negotiate a contract with the ESPNs and the Fox Sportses and the NBC Sports.
Yeah, well, there's separate corporate entity at that point.
Now that there's more networks than there is sports, then basically sports that people want to watch, you could really negotiate a massive contract if you were to create something like this. I mean, you're not going to see it. These people are all stuck in tradition, and you won't see anybody make this kind of move. But, I mean, business-wise, it would help the athletes. And then these kids can get some insurance on their limbs and if they get hurt. And, they would if I'm an agent, I would be killing for something like this. If I'm Drew Rosenhaus or a big agent, I would be pushing hard for something like this to happen. I would be organizing it behind the scenes. I'd be talking to someone at ESPN. I'd be looking to,
get some commitments. I mean, if ESPN said, hey, yeah, we'd do that, we'd cover that. If you had that system set up, then that would give them some push, And
then you basically take the NCAA basketball and you fold it into the developmental league. And you take the top programs in the ACC like Duke and those other programs, and you yank them off of the campus. And you basically separate it. You would still have the athletes. Hell, you could still get support from the local area. You could still have the Cameron Crazies.
Yeah. The only barrier I see, LJ, is I could see some schools that are public schools, that are state universities, having issues with that, wherein if you're a state university and you're a big football state university,
like Alabama.
Do your governors and state congressmen want to give up all that revenue that comes essentially into their system? I know it doesn't all go directly to the state, obviously.
It doesn't go to the state. It goes to the university.
Yeah, but they get a lot of, the politicians are still in the bag for the people at the university, for the trustees and all those people. So they may not relent, LJ.
If business people want to get stuff done, they can get stuff done. They can. Those politicians that were paid off by the university can be paid off by the other people too.
I'm not saying it can't work. I think it's a great idea. We should draft this up, LJ, and put a name on it and start petitioning everywhere for it on the internet and stuff, and just push for it. I think that'd be really cool. But I could see, like I said, it might. That's the one thing I could see it. Being. The one thing sort of getting in the way, the one big hill you would have to climb, I think, to make it work, is getting those state schools on board.
You'd have to make sure that there was going to be money, that they were going to make more money.
The state has to get its money. Yeah, politicians need their money.
The problem I see that in my idea, the hiccup, the speed bump, the the moat around the castle is going to be the fans. Will they embrace the minor leagues the way they embrace their college teams? That's the problem. Will this translate into these alumni coming to these games when they're no longer affiliated with the university? The reason why these games get so many people coming to them is because of the students there. I mean, but I don't know. I'd like to know how much revenue they take in on an average Saturday at an LSU game or whatever game. And will it be impacted if it's, because the alumni are watching these games at home.
Yeah, they're not all there, but, homecoming's a big deal. They come out for certain events and stuff. They have alumni.
Are we gonna kill the tradition? And if we kill the tradition, does it kill the viability of that league of doing something like that? That's the problem. I mean, I can see the USC team being, they're the default football team for the Los Angeles elite. So if you watch a USC game, especially a big one, you'll see all the actors and everything that go to Lakers games are all at USC games.
Yep.
These games are supported by the Los Angeles community, but in Mobile, Alabama, where the University of Alabama is located, are these people going to come out if we just turned them into the Alabama Crimson Tide, not the University of Alabama Crimson Tide?
Well, the big sports media is not going to jump on it right away. We know ESPN isn't going to jump on it.
ESPN won't even jump on the concussion story.
Yeah, they won't get behind anything over there. It's disgusting.
Basically, if you wanted to get coverage from the concussion story, you had to go to the Nation magazine, a liberal nonprofit magazine, where David Zarin, who has a relationship with Bill Simmons, who's been on Bill Simmons' podcast, has written articles for Grantland, was basically the guy that all the ESPN people went to that couldn't talk about the concussion thing. They went off the record with Zirin in the Nation, just complaining about how ESPN shut down the documentary, then participating in the documentary about concussions on Frontline on PBS.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting on ESPN's part, in my opinion.
Just shut it right down. And basically, they went on the record. It's Simmons who he's quoting, because it's a guy that he's like one of the leading columnists and also a TV personality. Gee, I wonder who that is. And it's not who he's quoting when you just talk.
Yeah, we're losing you a bit there, LJ. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's all just a bunch of BS coming out of ESPN. And this is Frontline. This is people. Go ahead, LJ.
The people that went on the record weren't BSing about it. They felt strongly about it.
Oh, yeah, I know, but ESPN's decision is just absolute garbage, and that's why you have these people speaking out.
Total corporate decision. You understand why ESPN did it, because they didn't want to lose the relationship with the NFL.
Oh, I know. They need that. That's a big chunk of their profit every year.
The NFL now has their own network, so technically they could tell ESPN to kiss their ass and go someplace else.
Yes. And really any media outlet with the money that the NFL has can have their own TV station, their own web presence, all that stuff. They don't really need ESPN to carry their games anymore. They just have their own network, and it's on cable right alongside ESPN. Yeah. So they have to do it. But again, it's just, this is why we started the podcast, because we wanted to be able to talk about these things. At the end of the day, this is a pretty credible, journalistic piece. This is PBS. This is Frontline. I don't think this is, I'm not a person who subscribes to the idea that public broadcasting is liberal spin. I think it's probably some of the most honest broadcasting you can get.
An reputation for covering things in a fair way. And they go after things that are tough subjects. Frontline goes after everything that's a tough subject. They went after the Wall Street banks after the housing crash. They went after the Bush administration after the run up to the Iraq War was such a mess. They do go after liberal causes, but it's because those causes are actually front and center and need to be discussed. So you can give it a liberal name, but they're still exposing things that are truths, and they're not liberal orchestras.
Well, maybe we should go to public funding, LJ.
Well, as what's his name? Stephen Colbert said, liberal. The truth has an obvious liberal bias.
Yeah.
And he said that to George Bush's face at the White House press club dinner.
Yes,
which was just fucking beautiful. It was one of the greatest things ever to watch. Is to watch a comedian make fun of the president to his face, and we're not even sure if the president fully understood he was being made fun of.
No, he always has that same glazed look in his eyes. Forever. Like anytime when he was president, afterwards, I don't know.
And now he's sitting down in Texas and he's painting. And he's releasing his paintings. That's what he does now.
He's channeling Bob Ross. He's at a peaceful place in his life. It's great.
He paints and he goes to charity events. And he speaks at places that'll pay him over $100,000 to speak at that won't boo him. He's probably the least respected ex-president there ever was.
So, LJ, speaking of TV, are you going to watch North Carolina at South Carolina tonight? Are you fired up for?
I am a major league hypocrite because I am probably going to watch because I want to watch Javade and Clowney.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's great sport. It's great sports to watch. That's the hardest part about it. We have to talk about these hypocrisies and these injustices and all of it. But this is going to be an awesome game. I can't wait to pour a few drinks and kick back and watch this thing because Clowney's should be spectacular.
The big game this weekend is Georgia and Clemson. That's the big game. That's the South Carolina and Georgia are tied for number 6 in the poll. So Georgia's the other number 6 team, and they're playing Clemson, who's the number 9 team. And it's in Clemson. It's in Death Valley. It's going to be hot and it's going to be crazy. And Aaron Murray, who's been at Georgia forever, he's been the starting quarterback for 4 years now. He's going up against Clemson, and Clemson has a quarterback that's probably going to be a starter in the NFL next year, Taj Gibson. Same with Aaron Murray. So you're watching two guys that can really play. The question going into the game is Georgia's defense. Can they stop Clemson's offense? Because they got a bunch of new kids on defense, and they lost their best player, Jarvis Jones, to the NFL.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking that game out.
Whoa, Nelly. Oregon's playing a Division I AA school, Nichols State.
Ooh.
That could get ugly.
Yeah.
Oregon can score like lots and lots of points. And they have some of the best athletes in all of sports on that Oregon team. Those kids can fly. They got a running back with sprinter speed and just major league ability. He's a short kid, and he's like the next, he's going to be that next crazy. What's his name there? The guy that got Seattle. Who? Why am I spacing on his name? The kid from Florida that the Vikings gave up, and he went to Seattle, free agency, and then got hurt. Percy Harvin.
Percy Harvin, yeah.
The kid from Oregon is going to be the next Percy Harvin.
Well, that'll be interesting to watch too. Definitely check that out.
It's on Fox Sports, whatever.
Yeah.
It's buried. But those are one of the teams you want to keep an eye on this year, especially when they're playing someone good like Stanford or USC or anybody in the Pac-10. Yeah. College football is going to be a good year. There's a lot of good players. A lot of good players in college this year that are going to be that are NFL All-Pro ready for next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a great draft coming up for the NFL too.
I did his big board the other day, and he's got Javade and Clowney on top, and then he's got Bridgewater second. He did his Kuiper's the first big board of the year.
Oh, Kuiper.
Mel Kiper. We love Mel Kiper.
Yeah.
Don't we love Mel Kiper?
Sometimes occasionally he comes across as big dick, but he has good things to say. He definitely has good information. I wish I had Mel Kiper with me at our fantasy football draft. Frenchy and I have our little league with some former coworkers this year. That's been going on. So we did our draft, and then we took off for the casino afterwards, which was a whole adventure unto itself. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit later, but I don't know. I think I have a good team. I think I definitely did. As always, there's definitely some picks that I look back on and weren't great. Some of my fourth and fifth picks and stuff. But we can go through it a bit here if you want, LJ. We are a fantasy football program.
I want to hear who's on your team and who's on Frenchy's team. That's
okay,
what
so we'll give you the rundown. We won't go through every round of the draft. That's a bit long, but it was a crazy kind of draft. We have some players who are really solid, and we have some guys who just fire away, or they have a name that they just get obsessed with. We have a Bengals fan who's one of the owners, and he always takes some Bengals. But I actually ended up with a Bengal this year in a late round.
Did you get Giovanni?
No. I think Frenchy jumped on Giovanni somewhat early. But I grabbed Ben Jarvis Green Ellis as one of my fill-in running backs pretty late in the draft, so he was there. But we'll run it down. Basically, I went running back at the beginning. I had the 7th pick, so I picked C.J. Spiller was my first pick, and the second round I took Reggie Bush.
And you got to tell people it's a points per reception league because Reggie Bush's value goes through the roof in a points per reception league because they say he's going to get 70 receptions this year.
Yeah, he's going to be a fantasy beast for PPR leagues, and that's what Frenchy was saying. We were drafting in the same room, and he had a fantasy football index. He usually uses that and gets all their updates. So he's looking at all the charts. And Frenchy was kind of he actually ended up with a great pick. He picked 2nd overall. Unfortunately, he had kind of planned this year that he just assumed, or he had it in his head that he wanted and was going to end up with a middle pick, and that would actually make his life easy. So he did all these mock drafts for like 6th, 7th, 8th spot. We have 14 teams in the league. And so when the draft order came out and he was 2nd, he was a bit flustered. He was a little flustered. Cause he's just like, well, what do I do? Et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, well, dude, it's the 2nd pick, like you have all the flexibility in the world. You can do whatever you want. And so he ended up taking, Adrian Peterson was on the board. He did not go first, but Frenchy ended up taking Ray Rice. He just kind of had his face stuffed in the fantasy index, and he was a little flustered. He kind of missed out on AP. But I could also kind of see, where his head was at. I'm not going to bash him for that. I don't think it's the end of the world for him. I think Ray Rice will do quite well. But as far as my team goes, like I said, I got C.J. Spiller and Reggie Bush, and a lot of wide receivers started going pretty quick. And then,
you got to tell people too. Instead of it being a true flex spot, it's just a wide receiver, tight end flex spot. So wide receivers went quickly because people were trying to fill their flex positions. Correct?
Yes, that's exactly what goes on in the draft. That's a big part of it. But also, I can guarantee you, LJ, if they had a regular flex, there's guys who would just fire away at wide receivers and quarterbacks from the first pick on. There's just certain guys owners in that team I know, in that league I know, and that's just what they do. So that's part of it as well. So I got some decent receivers, but I probably could have done better where I picked them because I ended up with guys like Eric Decker and Roddy White as my 4th and 5th picks, or maybe 5th and 6th picks. I grabbed Kenny Britt. So my wide receiving core is not all that exciting. Hopefully those guys will have some good years this year. And then you get down to the nitty gritty. As far as defenses, I ended up with St. Louis, and then I grabbed Pittsburgh, my last pick, I think.
Now, who did you get for other wide receivers?
I grabbed a few running backs, to fill the bench because, the running backs always get beat up. So I have Ben Jarvis Green Ellis as a backup. And then I took a flyer on Daniel Thomas in Miami. It's a very speculative pick there.
You got 2 running back spots. You got 3 wide receiver spots. Who'd you get for tight ends?
My tight ends are Greg Olson, and then I took a flyer on Dwayne Allen as well as another late pick. Dwayne Allen in Indy is one of the tight ends there.
He's going to share time though.
He may be a timeshare, but again, there are injuries too, and I might move some of these guys on and off the wire. And I have Brandon LaFell as my only real backup wide receiver.
Dude, you didn't get you didn't go after any of the sleeper wide receivers, huh?
Not really. I didn't go after. I mean, a lot of people grabbed them earlier than I wanted to take them. And then, I was concerned. I didn't want to have a good. I really wanted a good defense this year. Really, they started taking defenses a little early. So I kind of jumped on St. Louis because they were starting to go off the board, some of the better ranked defenses this year. So I wanted to have something solid there.
The points per reception stats on ESPN, the rankings. And this is up to date as of today.
Okay.
Updated August 28th.
All right.
Adrian Peterson's number 1. Arian Foster's still number 2. Ray Rice is number 3. So, yeah, he did grab one of the top 3 backs, but the other 2 were still there.
And they're slightly better, yeah.
4. Jamal Charles is 5. And you said Charles went first, like some madman thought he was going to have a great year.
Our commissioner's he's a Niners fan, and that has nothing to do with it really in that pick, but he's a little wild.
Trent Richardson's 6th, and Smarge, you got Spiller exactly where they got him ranked, 7th.
So my grade overall, according to Yahoo, is a B+ for my draft. Let me look it up.
And then Reggie Bush is the 16th overall best back and this is 16th best player in a PPR draft.
Yeah. So let's look.
So you basically drafted good the first 2 rounds. And then they got Roddy White at 25, but I'm not a fan of Roddy White.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping he'll be, I do have a fair bit riding on him, but, some of the other receivers that were ranked around there, a lot of guys got taken and, I'm in the middle of the draft, so I never have like a sandwich or, it's one thing if you're like 11th out of 14, you get some close picks, but
you didn't have an opportunity to get like a T.Y. Hilton, a Tavon Austin, Emmanuel Sanders, Miles Austin.
Yeah, no, some of those guys were there, and I have to admit, I was in the room with French, and so there was some chatter, and we were talking and stuff, and we were doing things, so I was trying to, I didn't want to just snake all his picks, so some of that was like he wanted T.Y. Hilton and stuff. So there's a couple of guys I probably could have just gone for, but I didn't want to, screw him over by looking over his shoulder. That's not cool. So there's a little bit of that too. So Frenchy ends up with, I'm just going to read it down. I forget the exact order, but I'm just going to read it down by position. So his quarterback is Andy Dalton, who he took quite late.
Oh God.
He just passed on a quarterback, so I'm not going to, but he's got Larry Fitzgerald, Demaryius Thomas. And then for running backs, he has Ray Rice, like we said, that was his first pick. Shane Vereen is his second running back. At the tight end position, he's got Jordan Cameron. And then at the wide receiver tight flex, this is just the default, roster. Stevie Johnson for receiver. And then Stevie Johnson from Buffalo.
Okay.
And then he's got Giovanni Bernard, Daryl Richardson, are his 2 backup running backs.
All right.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Okay.
Isaiah Pete from St. Louis, like they're, second.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Backup QB is Sam Bradford. And then kickers are kickers. We're not gonna.
He got a serious drop off in talent though after his wide receivers. He got Demaryius Thomas and who was the other one there?
Let's see here. Stevie Johnson.
No, not Stevie
Alshon Jeffrey. Because he's got Larry Fitzgerald, Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, that's some serious talent right there. He's got
2 really good wide receivers. But then, the mid rounds can be tough. It's you kind of as the draft starts to develop. Sometimes you get locked into things. You're like, oh, they're taking all the defenses, and I really wanted this, and you kind of get off your game plan a little bit as you get deeper into the draft.
I don't react if they're all taking defenses. I think that's stupid. And my rule is you always wait till the end of the draft to draft the defense and to draft the kicker. And you should be grabbing up players that have potential to be number 1, like Hilton, there's guys that are potentially sitting at a number 2 receiver slot that could move in and get more catches and become kind of a 1A. And those are the guys you need to be looking at, the Tavon Austins and the T.Y. Hiltons and those guys. If you need that
all
flex,
those guys were
a wide receiver, tight end flex spot, you want to do that. If not, commit to something crazy like going after Graham and then filling the other flex spot with with Gonzalez or Vernon Davis or go commit heavy to tight ends that are going to catch a lot of passes. It's a PPR league. Commit heavy to those guys, if you're going to do that, and then take flyers on wide receivers later.
Yeah.
But get your running backs out of the way, because even in a PPR league, running backs are still important.
Yeah, you definitely you need some decent, at least, you got to find somebody. And the drop-off.
Right now that Sam Bradford ends up being Frenchy's starter by week 2.
There's a good chance.
I don't think Andy Dalton's a number 1 quarterback in fantasy. I think Sam Bradford has a better shot at being a number 1 quarterback.
I think you may be right, LJ. We'll keep everyone up to date on that as the season develops.
And who did you get for quarterback again?
I have Matt Stafford.
And who'd you get for number 2 quarterback?
Who did I grab? Like Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah. I would have Jay Cutler.
Well,
You know how much I love Jay Cutler.
Yeah, you're big on Jay Cutler this year, no doubt. No doubt, LJ.
I'm always on Jay Cutler. I have him he's my backup quarterback in every league, I think.
Well, here's hoping for you, LJ, for Jay Cutler.
He's a pickup, though. Yeah. I don't have him as my number 1 option in any league. I'm not a silly person. I'm not.
You're not crazy like that, LJ.
Of a number 1 pick.
You're not.
But I got him as a backup.
You mean you don't smoke mad blunts and do PCP and then draft?
I don't know if PCP in a draft would be a bad idea.
I think you might destroy a computer every time, like most of your office.
Yes, because if somebody doesn't pick in time and you're on PCP, you could throw things. And if you look, I just drafted a 12-teamer, and I got Breeze as my starting quarterback. Then I got Jamal Charles and Maurice Jones-Drew, Amendola, Reggie Wayne, Antonio Gates, Eddie Lacy in the flex. And then sitting on my bench, I got guys like Hilton, Miles Austin, Marcellus Bennett, my boy Jay Cutler, Kobe Fleener. I mean, there you go. And you told you I'm all in on the Cardinals defense this year because I think they're going to score a lot of points for you on special teams because of the Honey Badger.
Yeah.
And Patrick Peterson.
Yep. Well, I think that's pretty much I think we covered everything, LJ. We had a lot of sort of law and order kind of news this week. We didn't really talk, it's not a big story, but the other sort of new law and order related article, we had the brand new Atlanta Hawks coach already arrested for DUI before they've even, it's not even the start of the season yet. So.
And you know what lesson we learned there is? The Atlanta Hawks coach has no sway in the state of Georgia.
No, not at all.
If that had been Mark Richt, the head coach of the University of Georgia Bulldogs,
they would have gave him a ride home.
He wouldn't even know he was pulled over for a DUI. He would have been given a ride home. His car would have been towed to his house.
Yep.
And
they would have wiped the tape out and everything, yeah.
And nothing would be said about it. And a follow-up to that Oregon kid, the running back that I was talking about, his name is D'Anthony Thomas.
Oh, good recovery, LJ.
He's got legit sprinter speed, and he's like I said, amazing. He's an amazing running back. Go to YouTube and watch the highlights. The kid is phenomenal.
No,
so, University of Oregon offense, this is one of those kids that's coming up. Keep an eye on him.
Well, we do have a YouTube channel. It's a Free Agents Pod on YouTube, where we have all our podcasts up for easy viewing. If you don't want to, if you don't have a podcast or anything like that,
I'm going to share videos up there too. Maybe I'll get a video of D'Anthony.
Yeah, we'll get some channel links up to some of these highlights of these kids, because it's good stuff to watch. So you can go up there and follow that.
Up the backfields.
Yeah. And we are still, I know we're getting down to the season pretty much, but we do still have open applications for the Free Agents Fantasy Football League. Well, this is what we're going to do is if we can't fill the league, which we might not, we'll probably make it a Yahoo Public League, and I'm going to throw it up public today. But you still have a chance to put an application in, and we'll just put you right into the league. And we're going to draft it's probably going to end up being like Tuesday after Labor Day. I don't want to make it Labor Day because other people have bigger, more important drafts with lots of money involved going on still. So probably Tuesday the 3rd. Tuesday the 3rd, the evening. We'll find a time that everyone can be accommodated for. But until then, you can still get in, and we will actually get the Yahoo League. We'll have the link to the actual Yahoo League up on our website as well. So you can just go in and sign up there, and it'll be we'll get everybody in. So you can enter and you can win. First place is a $50 Amazon gift card. So definitely check that out and you can get some cool stuff from Amazon if you are the champion of our fantasy football league. And that should do it. So thanks for listening.